Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the CCI After School Club. So, if you haven't joined us for any of the sessions that we ran over the last couple of months, a big, warm, special welcome to you. Thank you for joining us for this new program of events. We've got 4 events in this program that we are super excited to bring to you. If you did join us for some of the lessons that we had in the last program that we ran, thank you for coming back. That's probably a good sign that you are here again. And we've got some completely different and just as fun stuff in store for you this time. So we're going to kick today off with a session from me. And then we have got 3 wonderful visiting artists leading sessions on the following Tuesdays throughout July, same time, same place. But I will talk more about this in a moment. Let me introduce the CCI After School Club, especially if we've got any newcomers, and exactly what the CCI is. And then we'll get into the session shortly in a few minutes' time. So thank you once again for joining us. So in case you don't know, the CCI is an institution that's based in UAL, University of the Arts London. We live in Camberwell before the lockdown, and we're hoping to return to work as soon as possible. But of course, everything's running online now, as with this after school club, and it's fantastic that we're still able to bring these opportunities and tutorials to you at home. So the CCI is a creative computing institute. It works at the intersection of arts, technology and design. We are a team of creatives, technologists, designers, gamers, whatever you want to call us. And we work together to bring different courses. You can check them all out. We've got a link to our website and I'll show you how you can access that before we start the session. And of course, the after school club that we're running is aimed at young people and beginners. And we're trying to show you a few cool things that you can do with technology that are super creative and hopefully easy to pick up. So don't worry if you haven't got any prior knowledge. We're going to run through everything from start to finish and give you a platform that you can work from and build on. And before you know it, you'll be a creative technologist yourself. So that is what the CCI is, and that's what the After School Club is. Of course, the After School was going to be a physical thing, and we decided in May to make it a virtual thing. So here we are with the 7th session. We had 6 in the last program of events. And as I said, we've got 4 in store for you to bring it to a total of 10 this academic year. So we're super excited about this and super excited today. So if you'd like to keep up with the events that we've got throughout the following weeks, you can find us on Eventbrite and sign up to all of them from there. We've got a PDF that we'd be happy to circulate as well. You can follow us on YouTube and join from there. There's loads of ways to get involved. We are posting them on all of our socials. So we are CCI on Instagram and Twitter. So do give us a follow if you are interested in keeping up to date with the After School Club and all of the other amazing things that we do. And a note, if you are watching directly from YouTube, please head over to Slido. The session is running through Slido, and that means that you'll be able to ask live questions throughout the event. One last thing is a note on safeguarding. So, of course, the event is aimed at young people primarily. If you are a more mature person in the room, you are more than welcome to be here. But we must be mindful at all times that the event is for young people, hence my slow and steady pace. So I'm hoping that everyone's going to be able to keep up today. The reason that we're using Slido is so that we can moderate any questions that do get asked. Please do ask away. You can use the column at the right-hand side of the screen. In Slido, there's a Q&A section and you can post your questions in there. And as long as they're not swear words, we'll be sure to make sure that we answer questions throughout the session. So if you do get stuck at any point, please feel confident to submit a question and we'll post it out and I'll be able to go through any demonstrations or anything that you've missed for you during today's event. You can also, as I was saying before, you can access the CCI's website, and you can also email us if you are interested in collaborating with us or studying with us. If you head to the menu at the top left of your screen, if you're watching through Slido, there's a menu drop-down icon, and you can directly email the CCI or head to our website to find out more about what we do. So, without further ado, let's get stuck into today's session, which is going to be led by yours truly. So, I don't have to introduce anyone. I am Jazmin, and we are going to kick off now with a little presentation from myself. There we go. Just checking that everyone can see this presentation. Okie dokies. So, today's session title is using code blocks for 3D design. You can't see. Apologies. One moment. Let me just try again to share my screen. Okay, I'm sure you can see this now because it's done the black hole thing. Amazing. So I'm just going to go ahead and present. Sorry about that, everyone. Amazing. You can see now. Okay, fantastic. So yes, today's session title is using code blocks for 3D design. So I'm going to take you through a tool that allows you to play around with code. Code blocks. So it's kind of an easier way of working through the principles of coding without having to use raw code. And we're going to look at how we can apply these code blocks to 3D objects and do cool things with them. So I will introduce myself really quickly, just so you know who I am. Also, I'm a creative technologist, and I think that I'm proof that there is space in the industry. If you're interested in tech and you're interested in art and you don't know how to fuse them, again, the CCI is a fantastic resource for kind of intersecting those two industries, and I do it every day, and it's amazing. I graduated with a fine art degree from UAL. And now here I am a year later, working with the CCI and loads of other institutions and businesses to do what I do. So I'm a freelance creative technologist. My personal practice is centered around virtual reality and conceptual games design. So I often look at ways that we can use immersive technology to portray stories of identity, politics, and societal issues through, immersive experiences. I am a hackathon host. I do a lot of sessions like this, also for STEMettes and for other institutions based in UAL. I've done some for Tate, some galleries, done some talks, done workshops at arts festivals and things like that. And I also am now a social media consultant for Projects by If. So that's something I do every day, looking after the social media. And that's a really cool space to be working in as well. So I keep myself super busy, but I enjoy what I do. And I'm super happy freelancing. So that is me. And I'm super excited to be teaching today's session. Let's head over to the software that we're going to be using today. So we're going to be using Tinkercad. And if you did join us for last month's sessions, you'll know that I ran a session on Tinkercad around 3D modeling and 3D design, prototyping that you can do in the software. And we did get requests for using code blocks. So that is what we're going to be doing today. So Tinkercad is a free and easy to use app for 3D design, electronics, and coding. It's used by teachers, kids, hobbyists, and designers to imagine, design, and make anything. And it really is, even though I did take that straight from the website and it sounds like a sales thing, Tinkercad is amazing and it's fantastic that it's free. So I can tell you more about the platform, and I really would just urge you to continue to use it after the session and to play around with things. So yeah, if you head to tinkercad.com, select join now and create a personal account. You'll need to sign in with an email. So if you are a young person, do go and get your parent or guardian and ask them for their email address if you need to. And if you have got your own email address, fantastic. Feel free to sign in and make yourself an account. Skip the tutorial. I'm going to show you the basics and just get yourself to the dashboard. And in a moment, I'm going to show you what the dashboard looks like. And then I'll give you a couple of minutes to just catch up and take all that in and get your account made. And then I'll continue with the tutorial. So I'm going to show you what Tinkercad should look like. Let's get rid of that. So this is my account, and just get yourself to the dashboard where it'll give you the option to create a new design. And just for your information, when we do make it to the dashboard, we're going to be selecting code blocks here. So these are the 3 different platforms that Tinkercad kind of hosts. You've got 3D designs, which is what my session last month was using. That's fantastic for prototyping 3D design. It's kind of like AutoCAD, kind of, but better. And then you've got circuits and electronics here, and then you've got code blocks, and code blocks is what we're going to be using today. So that's super exciting. So I'm just going to go ahead and click into code blocks, and you can all do the same. I'm just going to give it another minute or so just to ensure that you've all made your account. Just give you another minute or so. Okie dokies. Hopefully everybody has managed to make an account now. Sorry for the silence there. But yeah, I was just giving you a minute just to make sure that everybody's managed to get themselves into Tinkercad, create a personal account and get to the dashboard. And then you are clicking code blocks down the left-hand side here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and continue. However, please do use the Q&A if you are getting stuck. And if you need another minute to make your account, now is definitely a good time to submit and say, can you just hold on a second? And I'm going to take silence as a positive thing and continue and presume that you are all on a screen that looks like mine. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you for making an account. Let's get stuck into the session. So we're going to click on code blocks and we are going to create a new code block. So I'm going to create a new design. We're going to start from scratch. And let me just speak you through the interface a little bit before we begin. So this is your work plane here. You can use this kind of slidey thing to make your kind of coding area a lot smaller so you can see your full design. You can do a split screen, which is probably what I would recommend. And of course, if that's irrelevant and you're really feeling into the code, you can get rid of the live demo and just kind of work on the code. So I'm going to keep it in split screen for now. This is the play button. This is super important. So nothing will happen now if we press play, but I can promise you that soon it will. You can use this bar to kind of have a look around your design. Of course, it's going to be 3D. So it's important to look at the design from lots of different angles. And you can select top, back, front to kind of get a nice 90-degree angle. I'm going to leave it tilted a little bit because that's kind of the best position to view your model in. Over here is where the code lives. So you've got 6 different kind of sections. Shapes are what they say on the tin. They're shapes, and you can see the different shapes that we've got. And I love how it uses colour. I think it's really good for dyslexia. I'm dyslexic and it helps me. I know that if I need a shape, I kind of just see blue. And then, of course, you've got modify. So these are how you can modify objects. Don't let any of this overwhelm you. We're going to go through everything, and I'm going to show you how to do something really simple today that's kind of a starting point to build on and do crazy things. And I'm going to give you some free time to just experiment towards the end of the session, and I'd love to see what everybody's working on. So yeah, please do use Slido and let us know throughout the session if you have questions or if you'd like to share what you're doing. But yeah, these are all modifiers. We've got controls here. So, this is designed for beginners and young people. There aren't too many to confuse you, but there's definitely enough to do some really cool things here with the controls. You've got math. Of course, maths is a very important part of coding. And if you are specifically interested in this area, our 3rd session in this program in 2 weeks' time is useful maths for creative coding. So it all really does go hand in hand. You've got data and markup. So these are just at the bottom here. We won't be covering this today, but it's good to know it's there and it's good to have a play around with. So that's kind of how it works. And when you want something, you just drag and drop into this area here. So I literally just dragged and dropped that. And if you want to get rid of a block, you can drag them to the bin down here. Oh, and you get a nice sound effect. Fantastic. So let's start by, and I'd like you to follow what I'm doing for the moment. And then, as I said, I'm going to allow you to get more experimental with it and use different shapes and different rotations and different angles to play around with your object. So I'd like you to go ahead and add a star. So shapes, and you'll see that if you scroll down a little bit, there are some star shapes. You can add either star, I don't mind. I'm going to add the yellow one. So I'm going to drag this across. And then I'd like you to press the play button up at the top and see what happens. And you'll find that a star pops up onto the work plane. So code-wise, all we've done is tell it to add a shape. Now this is the colour. So already you can start to play around with the colour. So I love pink. I'm going to make my star pink. So now when I press play, of course, a pink star pops up instead. This is the texture of the shape. So you can make it hollow if you would like. But we probably won't need to use that today, or it might be cool to start playing with 3D shapes and hollow shapes later on down the line. But for now, stick to a solid, and whatever color you like, I'm going to keep mine pink. So the next thing we're going to do is press this arrow here, just at the side. So I've not dragged anything new along, but I've just pressed the arrow here. And already you can start to play around with the stars components. So I'd like you to spend some time playing around with these numbers. You can't do anything wrong. You can always just delete it. So, what happens if I want the star to have 20 sides? And just remember to press play. What is the radius? What happens if this reduces from 20 to 5? Let's have a look. Okay. So there's no space between the middle of the star and the points now. So how about if it's 30? Nice. I quite like that actually. And of course, as I'm doing these demos now, please do be playing around on your own desktop and playing with these numbers. I'm just running through some examples. So we've got the inner radius, which is the space between each point. So I can imagine that if we make this a very small number, the star's probably not going to look great. It's quite nice actually. So this is the width of the star points, the inner radius. So if we make it a big number, it's not going to look very nice. It turns into a circle. So I quite liked it. I quite liked it small. I think I'm going to go for 0.4. And I've got loads of points. Height. This is the height of the shape. Again, you can play around with this too. Again, I quite like mine being flat, so I'm gonna keep the number quite low. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to get happy with a star that you're going to be working with. So change the colour and play around with the sides, the radius, the inner radius and the height, and really just get used to learning what maths comes into shapes and how you can kind of use this software to design a new shape live. And I will continue to say it, but please do use the Q&A if you do have anything you'd like to share, even if it's not a question. Let us know what you're doing, because ideally we'd all be in a classroom together right now. So feel free to communicate. Okie dokies. So hopefully you've had a little bit of a play around with the star. We're now going to move on and add a modifier. So if you remember, this was the purple section, modify, and we are going to add a rotation to begin with. So I'd like you to drag the rotation from here and just fix it onto the bottom there. This is another thing that I love about code blocks. They just stick together like jigsaw pieces. So go ahead and drag rotate across and fit it underneath your star. Okie dokies. So again, let's play around with these numbers. So you've got a drop-down menu for the axis. So in case you don't know, we've got X, Y, and Z axis, and these are the different axes that kind of work when you're in 3D. So if you can see, probably better see it on your screen than mine, there is a blue, a green, and a red line here, and they are your X, Y, and Z axis. And I learned through doing, so just select the different axes and make changes to them and learn which axes do what. So I'm going to change it to Y for now, just to see what happens. And let's keep it at 90 degrees. And then, of course, we've got to press play to see what happens. Okay, so we can see that the star stands up. Amazing. So again, just spend some time changing the angle on the pivot and changing the axis and seeing what results you get through doing this. So I'll give you a couple of minutes just to get used to, just to get used to this. This is nice. Okay, well, I have a favorite and it's the Z axis. Nice. Okay, so just try to do a different thing on each axis and play around with the degrees as well. What happens if I put it all the way over here? Okay. So maybe amazing. And you can still play with the things at the top as well, of course. So you might decide that it looks better a different color now, or you might want to reduce the amount of sides that you've got. Okie dokie, it's fantastic. So you're already on your way to manipulating a 3D shape using code blocks, which are simplified, kind of simplified raw code. So for the question on pivot, don't worry about it for now. It's absolutely fine. We're not going to need to use it for this session. So I'm going to give you some free time later and feel free to play around with it then. But for now, don't worry. We're just playing around with the axis and the degrees. So hopefully you've all had a chance to kind of do some funky stuff there. So now what we're going to do is add a loop. And this is going to save us a lot of work. And actually, I can give you an example and kind of show you why we use loops in coding. So if I was to add another star now underneath here, and let's it doesn't really matter. I'm just showing you for an example. So let's just add a simple star and add a rotation in again and run this. You can see that another star kind of comes into the equation then. And you can imagine you can get some really cool kind of GIF style animations through adding multiple shapes with multiple colors and multiple sides and multiple different axes. And that's our kind of goal for today. And we can do it the long way, and that's fine. But I'm going to show you a coding trick that's super important and is used all the time. So I'm going to just throw these away and show you how you can add a loop. So head to the orange one, which is control. And we're going to pull out this top one, which is repeat one time, and just wrap it around both of your blocks. So the blue and the purple. So once you've done that, change this number and see what happens. So we can see that whatever controls I've told it to do, it now does them 3 times. So if I change my axis to X, just so it's a little bit more visible, and run this again, it now kind of flips over 3 times. And already I'm starting to think, what would happen if I added another shape into the mix and kind of played around with the repeats and what crazy kind of designs can we get there, and of course the other axes as well. So let's spend some time playing around with that. So the basic principles now. So I really think it's best to, as I said, learn through doing. So I'll just have a play around, and we're going to give you, a good 15 minutes in a moment to get used to the kind of the functions and the different shapes that you can add and play along with. And then we'll kind of, you can ask me questions throughout. And we can recoup. So, what happens if you add a star on down here? I'm going to make it the same star. And 3. And again, I'm going to add my rotation. Maybe a different axis this time. I'm going to try the y-axis. I'm going to keep this at 180. So what happens now? Okay, so another star kind of comes through there and flips over. Can we repeat this now? Actually, I wonder if we can just... Sorry. This would be good. There we go. Oop. Fantastic. So there we go. We've got a block of code. So I'm now going to repeat this. See what happens if I repeat this 4 times. Apologies, my computer has crashed. But hopefully by now you're kind of getting the idea. And oh, there we go. Okay, just about managed to do it. We've got the result here, which is interesting. You can zoom in and out and kind of see what's happening to your shape. And I would like you to kind of spend, we're going to recoup at about 10 to, and I can just show you some more cool things, and kind of hopefully if you'd like to share what you've been working on, you can do so throughout. But if we can get some funky background music, for the next kind of 10-15 minutes, I'd like you to play around with different shapes, different colors, different radiuses, different repeat loops, and just, yeah, really start to get your head around Tinkercad. Hopefully, you've had some fun playing around with different shapes. I'm just going to show you a few tools now that you can use for the last kind of 10 minutes of the session. And again, I learned through doing, so please, if you wish, use this time to just learn however best you do. But let's head to, hopefully you can see my screen this time. Let's head to Tinkercad. You can save your designs. Well, you don't actually have to save them. It saves them for you. So don't worry about that. If there was something that you got attached to during that free time there, just close the tab and you can open Tinkercad again, or just, head home up here using this. It saves everything for you on the dashboard. But for now, just delete everything. And let's get started with another little thing that I'm going to show you. And actually, I can see we've just had a question about objects and starting them in different positions and kind of moving them around. And we are going to cover that now. So we're going to add and modify. We are going to create a new object. So just drag that over for me at the top like this. And then before you've seen we can add different shapes, I'm going to play around with a heart now. Again, super cliche. So I'm going to add the heart shape in. I'm going to change the color. Let's go for red. There we go. And then we're going to start to first play around with the move here. So we've already played with rotate. So let's play around with move. And again, we're working on the X, Y, and Z axes. So let's just experiment. So what happens if we move this shape by 20 on the Y axis? We can see that it moves along the Y axis by 20 metrics. My bad, but I'm not 100% sure what metrics Tinkercad uses. But yeah, we can see that that's kind of moved along there. So you can see how you might start to introduce, what happens if we add another move block and then move it 20. That's the x-axis. So we can see that we can start to move our shape around. So again, be as crazy as you like, and play around with this just for a moment and get yourself used to that. Get your shape moving. So what happens if we now add the repeat loop that we learned about earlier? So if I wrap this around here, doesn't have to go over this bit, don't worry, and repeat this 2 times. You can see that we get some nice things starting to happen. And I really just want you to work on building this. So now we are going to add another shape, for example. So how about a torus this time? Let's have a yellow torus come into the equation. And of course, you can see that the torus is hanging around down there. So now, if I start to move the torus around and, maybe bring in some principles that you just learned about rotation And, I might want to then rotate this along the z-axis by, let's say, minus 120 degrees. What does this start to look like? Fantastic. You can't see it rotating actually because it's a circle. So let's rotate it around the x-axis. And yeah, please do feel free to take things, into your own hands and start playing around. I'm going to set you a task. Can you make a shape meet another shape? Could I then start playing with this heart and move it back down? Or maybe you would want to work on lining shapes up and using maths to kind of create symmetrical 3D patterns, which is also really cool. I'm going to be really loose with this. It really is up to you. I can show you some more bits and bobs, but feel free if you want to just kind of tune out and play with this, feel free to do so. You can copy shapes. So let's add a cylinder here. And copy. Sure. Fantastic. Yeah, and really you can kind of start to grow things, and a lot of these tabs are self-explanatory as well. And if you don't know what they do, drag them across and play with them. So yeah, you can kind of start to build images. You can play around with the scale quite easily of shapes. I'm just going to get rid of this for a second. But yeah, the scale's quite nice actually. So if I introduce a scale into the bottom here, and I'm going to go big. So 50, 50, and then let's say 25. See what happens to the scale of the object. Well, it has covered everything up. I guess that's a little bit too big. You can see that the heart then kind of overtakes everything, and we get a lot of love if we do that. So I'm gonna reduce that to 15. And of course, feel free to work through trial and error and see what you like the look of and see what you like the feel of. So you can kind of imagine how you might be able to make a beating heart that kind of gets bigger and smaller if you keep playing with that scale on the heart. The opportunities are kind of endless, and you really can play with these as much as you want. Yeah, it's great, and I use it all the time just to play around and do things. Just gonna get rid of all of this just so we've got a nice plain. Get rid of that. And yeah, we're coming to a close of this session, so do feel free to ask any questions if you've got them. I'm just going to continue to play around for a moment, and I'm hoping that you're all doing the same. And of course, now you've got an account, Tinkercad is here. For you to use and play around with. So please do so. add a repeat on this, see what happens. I've not done this before, so I'm not 100% sure it's going to work, but let's see. No, it hasn't come back down. Set a challenge for myself now. Why is it not doing it? But anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted. But yeah, hopefully you have managed to play around with some of the tools and the principles of Tinkercad. Let me just try one more thing. We've not got too much to go through at the end, so don't worry. It really is just oh, that's done something very interesting. We've got a hollow heart now, which is nice. But yes, please do continue to play around with this. And yeah, we are here. We've got loads more sessions coming up. Please do keep in touch with what we're doing. I hope you've enjoyed today. We're going to post a little survey in the poll now, and please leave any comments and feedback for us so that we can build on these sessions and continue to bring fantastic sessions to you. So, yep, please do fill out that survey if you have got a second, and leave us some feedback. And as I said, you can access the CCI email and website using the menu at the top left hand of Slido. So bob us an email if you are interested in collaborating or interested in any of the courses that we run. The CCI After School Club is back. This was session 1. We've got 3 more sessions for you this month, and then we will be launching a formal program in September and onwards. So please do use that feedback to tell us what you'd like to learn more about, what you'd like to see in the upcoming sessions. Next week, we have got a session hosted by an external artist that we've decided to collaborate to bring the session to you. And we are going to be looking at audio visual design, so completely different. We're going to be playing around with sound and the visuals that come along with it. So definitely join us next Tuesday for that session and spread the word. And today we have shown you how you can use simple code blocks that work through drag and drop to apply principles to 3D objects. And I'm really hoping that you build on these basic principles and start to make some cool animations, because that is what it's for. You can export your designs up at the top left of the screen. There's a big export button, and you can save them as OBJs and as STLs, which work really nice with 3D printing. And please do send us screenshots. So if you're really happy with what you managed to do, send a screenshot to our email address, and we love to see it and we love to post it on our socials. So thank you so much for joining us. Fantastic. Yes, thank you for joining us. Please join us next week. Have a wonderful Tuesday evening. And yeah, thank you to the CCI staff as well. We'll see you next week.